Hey folks, Brendan here from Bluelight, and for those of you not seen any of my videos before, over the past several years I've been supporting people for the police recruitment process with a really decent amount of success. A good 3,000 people are now in the police as a result of my support. So if you'd like to find out a little bit more about that support, then in the links below you'll see links to my online courses, seminars and coaching sessions, and on top of that you'll also see a link to my Facebook support group for police recruitment. It's got almost 6,000 members in it now, so really, wow, amazing. So anyway, what's today's video all about? Well, it's to support you for your final interview. I've been doing a lot of coaching over the past couple of weeks for the final interview, and there's some really interesting questions that are cropping up in those final interview boards. Now, this is where you're going to be interviewed probably by an inspector and someone from HR, and they're going to be asking you some really difficult questions because they know you've gone through an assessment centre, which quite frankly, my 10-year-old daughter with my coaching could pass. So they're going to put you through the mill to make sure that you've got the right attitude, behaviour, the right ethics, values and passion for the job. They want to know what's going on in there, and that's why a lot of questions now are questions that are devised around your ability to utilise your own values and demonstrate your own values to ensure that you are going to be in line with what the force is looking for, what the code of ethics is looking for. So a really good question that's cropped up in West Mercia recently is something along the lines of, can you tell me about a time when you have gone outside the organisation's policies and procedures to produce the right outcome? So what a question that one is, because basically it's asking you to go outside. It asks you to tell them about a time when you've gone outside of the policies and procedures of the organisation that you work for. Now, surely the police would be looking for people who are going to follow policy and procedure to the letter. You would have thought, wouldn't you? Now, for those of you who like the good old-fashioned Second World War films, Reach for the Sky, the story of Douglas Bader, and the Spitfire flying ace who lost both his legs in the Second World War. There's a phrase from that film which I've always particularly liked. I can't remember the exact setting for it. I'll have to watch the film again. Now there's an excuse. But it's something along the lines of how policy is for the guidance of wise men and the adherence of fools. The guidance of wise men and the adherence of fools. So in the same way, the police aren't looking for people who are going to follow procedure, follow policy and instructions blindly without even thinking about the implications of their actions, even though they're following policy. I think the phrase that sometimes people have used in the past is someone's being a right job's worth. Someone who's following their policy and following their procedure, they're doing things right. They're doing things right, but they're not necessarily doing the right thing. So there's a nice little play on words there, isn't there? They're doing things right, but not necessarily doing the right thing. Now, we've already seen through previous videos how doing the right thing in difficult or challenging circumstances, even when no one is watching, is the definition of integrity that I like to utilise. And part of that is already reflected in the competency and values framework for the College of Policing, who refer to doing the right thing, challenging circumstances, or something along those lines. So here we have the code of ethics then, don't we? So I suppose if we are going to go outside of policy and procedure, we should think about the code of ethics. And what does the code of ethics say on this? Well, the code of ethics has a national decision model where they expect officers to make decisions that are difficult and challenging in line with the national decision model. So if you've not looked at it already, look at it, check it out, see what you think. Also, part of the code of ethics is a requirement to follow orders and instructions. But part of the code of ethics also talks about how, I'll put this in my own wording, it's my own translation of the code of ethics, that you're not there to follow instructions and orders? Absolutely. Because sometimes when you find out more about the circumstances of the incident that you're dealing with, sometimes you need to make a decision, and that decision might be to counter your inspector or sergeant's requirements, instructions, call them an order if you will, or force policy, because you've got a rationale behind it. And the Code of Ethics makes it really clear that you can do this, but you must be able to be accountable for your actions, and your decision needs to be able to stand scrutiny. So there you go, there's a lot to think about. For all of my clients who have been coaching recently for West Mercia Police, a lot of them are internal candidates and have been saying that the failure rate is quite high. Well, I'm not surprised, frankly, with questions like that. Some really, really tough questions that they ask at their interview, and rightly so. You know my thoughts on this, that to get into many police forces is far too easy these days. It should be far more challenging, far more challenging. So West Mercia are kind of leading the way there at the moment and asking some really, really challenging questions. So good for West Mercia. You need to prepare. You need to develop yourself so you've got the life experience to be able to give answers to questions like these. And you need to be able to rehearse those answers so that when you are there on the day, it's not something that you're mumbling and waffling about. You can be really crystal clear in your answer. It's structured. It's following some logical process that they understand in a language that they understand, and you're going to nail it. So for those of you who are my fabulous and fantastic clients, I'm going to give you an example, a really good example that one of my clients gave me recently, and he doesn't mind me sharing this, of a time when he broke out of policy and procedure in order to do the right thing. He was about to do things right, but he decided that based on the information he collected and based on his own ethical barometer, he decided not to do what he'd been asked to do, and he did exactly the opposite. But he also gave an account of why he did that. It's a really good answer. For those of my clients, go and check the video out. You'll find it extremely valuable. No matter what force you're applying for, you'll find it extremely valuable because it's a really good example of how this individual made a decision that was doing the right thing. So I hope you found this useful, folks. I shall see you at one of my next videos or seminars or one-to-one coaching sessions or on my Facebook group or wherever. I look forward to chatting with you, and for many of you, meeting you in the future. And for the rest of you, hearing about your success stories. I love to hear about the success stories of when you actually succeed in your aim of joining the police service. It's the best job in the world, folks. It really is the best job in the world. So I shall speak to you all very soon. Bye-bye for now.